Daniel Mannix was born in 1864 in Ireland and died in 1963. He was ordained to the priesthood in 1890 and embarked on an academic career, obtaining his doctorate in 1895 when he also commenced teaching philosophy and moral theology. Almost half of his long life was spent in Ireland. After arriving in Australia in 1913, he wondered how he would survive the heat. He was actively involved in helping the Salesians acquire Rupertswood and was close friends with the mansion's then owner, William Norton. He blessed Rupertswood 10 days after the Salesians took up residence. Archbishop Mannix was outspoken on social issues and in particular encouraged the growth of the lay Catholic action movements such as the Young Christian Workers. Mannix became the third Archbishop of Melbourne and was one of the most influential public figures in 20th century Australia. His greatest visible contribution to St Patrick's Cathedral in Melbourne was his completion of the 3 spires to mark the centenary of Catholicism in Victoria. He also presided over the National Eucharistic Congress in 1934 and is remembered as a witty and austere man who lived simply, was a fearless and confident leader, and has left an enduring mark on the Australian Church and society. Patrick O'Grady was born in 1859 in Ireland and died in 1943. After completing primary school at 13, he travelled to France and completed his secondary studies there. He made his novitiate in Italy and received the cassock from the hands of Don Bosco himself in 1886. He was ordained to the priesthood and worked in Argentina for 2 years. In 1886 he contracted cholera, but recovered and then travelled to the Falklands Islands, where he remained for 12 years. He then moved to Switzerland, then Malta, and finally returned to Ireland to set up an agricultural school. In 1929, at 70 years of age, Father Patrick O'Grady arrived at Salesian College, Rupertswood, where the first difficult years of the Salesian work had commenced. He worked tirelessly for 8 years and became the second rector of Rupertswood. Father O'Grady's first project was to make Rupertswood known and to build the profile of Don Bosco and the Salesians for their work in helping boys at risk. His second project was the annual Eucharistic Festival, which he initiated in 1931 and oversaw in 1932, 33 and 34. Upwards of 75,000 people attended the Eucharistic festivals. These events became the focal point of Victoria's Eucharistic devotion. Father O'Grady retired to Corpus Christi in San Francisco after his Golden Jubilee in 1936. The arrival of Father O'Grady to Rupertswood initiated a whole new era of life at the college. His deep piety, scrupulous observance and simplicity of life reminded many of the life of Don Bosco. Born Delise Dutra in northern India, Dalla Oswald has enjoyed teaching all her life. She commenced at the college in 1974 after arriving in Australia from India just the year before, with her husband Alan and their 3 children. She has lived in Sunbury for over 38 years and still remembers the township of Sunbury with its small population of 500 people. She taught English, history, geography, religion and special education classes and was a much-loved form mistress of 7 Blue for 14 years. Community was and still is important to Della. She continues to be actively involved with her local community, Probus and the parish. During her long tenure at the college, Della helped organise activities including running the debating club, attending camp at Dramana over a 10-year period, organising feast days at the college and travelling to country Victoria to perform parent-teacher interviews. Today, the Oswald Learning Centre at the college stands as testament to Dalla Oswald's exemplary education skills. Damien Blake commenced at Salesian College, Rupertswood as Curriculum Coordinator in 1991 and as Deputy Principal in 1997 until 2004. He was a passionate teacher in maths, English, religion and science subjects, including chemistry, biology and physics. He was instrumental in spearheading the vocational learning pathways VCAL and VET in senior years. Damien graduated from Deakin University with a Masters of Education in 1996 and a Doctor of Philosophy in 2005. He returned to work at Deakin after nearly 20 years teaching in secondary schools. He's also Ethics Chair at Deakin University. Damien's broad teaching experience extends from VCE to VET and VCAL. Undertaking his PhD sparked an interest in better understanding the successful teaching methods that engaged students in applied learning. While he was here, Damien led the college in being the first to offer the VET program and influenced the direction for Australian VCAL. He believes the best method of teaching students is bringing the world to them by offering good pathways through a broad curriculum with real-life learning. Damien has spent time overseas as Associate Professor of Education, particularly in India, conducting workshops at Indian universities, advising them about how to improve the quality of their tertiary education. Dennis Bagley was a boarder at Salesian College, Rupertswood, and graduated in 1965. Today he's Chief Executive Officer of the Shrine of Remembrance. Following 3 years as Project Manager for the Shrine's Stage 1 Visitor Centre redevelopment, Dennis was appointed CEO in 2003. This initial redevelopment was one of the most dramatic changes to take place at the Shrine since its opening in 1934. Dennis has also spent over 20 years in both corporate and government roles, including Director of Property and Commercial Development for the Department of Infrastructure, Project Manager for Spencer Street Station Authority, and Victorian Regional Coordinator for the Commonwealth Department of Administrative Services. Dennis has participated in many international study tours. He's visited the battlefields of Gallipoli, the Western Front, walked the Kokoda Track and visited Singapore's Changi Prison and Kranji War Cemetery. During his time as CEO of the Shrine of Remembrance, visitor numbers have increased from 250,000 to 750,000 per year, and the education program sees 50,000 students visit the shrine annually. Sharon Milner attended Salesian College, Rupertswood, and graduated in 1998. For as long as she can remember, Sharon has been involved in sport. She's travelled extensively, playing basketball all around Australia and all over the world. She was captain of the Bulleen Boomers in the Women's National Basketball League for 10 years and won many of the league's awards. She retired as a professional basketball player in 2011. She was selected in the Australian Opals women's squad in the lead-up to the Beijing Olympics. She's played basketball in China, as well as spending a year on a basketball scholarship from Troy State University in the US. She's also found time to undertake a myriad of other pursuits, including completing a Bachelor of Business from RMIT University and starting her own business called Bumblebee Sports. This was a sports apparel company which she sold recently. She's also operated a basketball players' union that helped promote the rights of women basketball players. Sharon's passion for encouraging women's rights comes from being a second-generation Australian, as her parents were born in India. It also comes from her experience of being a professional sportsperson in a predominantly male sporting landscape and growing up in multicultural Broadmeadows. Sharon has recently returned from a year working in Canberra with health promotion, a role she's currently developing at the Hume City Council.